Bienvenidos, familia, to the Pro Libertad video podcast, Despierta, Boricua. This week, we are providing you the presentation that was made to the United Nations Decolonization Committee hearings by Benjamin Ramos. Thank you for this opportunity to be heard before this committee today. On July 25, 1898, the U.S. invaded and colonized Puerto Rico under the guise that the U.S. government was going to share the benefits of its freedom and protection. Since our colonization, we have been victims of U.S. economic and political exploitation and manipulation. There have been innumerable campaigns to eliminate our language and national identity. When we have revolted against these injustices, we were labeled terrorists and have either been assassinated or incarcerated. As I read this statement, the Puerto Rican nation is still suffering under the Colonial Fiscal Control Board. This board has caused the closure of schools, hospitals, eliminated pensions and retirement funds, and has caused rampant unemployment. It pushed the passage of the Luma Energy contract, which has cost millions of dollars in lost revenue, furthered the dependency on fossil fuels, and increased the price of other basic services. This board has forced mass migration out of Puerto Rico. Currently, the colonial government and the board have been championing Act 60, which has created tax incentives for rich Americans to gentrify the island. It has inspired a wave of cryptocurrency colonizers like Brock Pierce and social media moguls like Logan Paul to come to Puerto Rico to buy as much property as possible for their own tourist ventures which rarely employ Puerto Ricans and oversaturate their own pockets because they barely pay taxes. All the while, Puerto Rican citizens are overtaxed and can barely survive. U.S. colonialism has made Puerto Rico a home for the rich who want to become richer. Currently, there's a bill in Congress called the Puerto Rico Status Act, which pretends to resolve colonialism. The idea that the U.S. government is entitled to control the mechanisms of our self-determination is dangerous. The fact that statehood is an option for decolonization is ridiculous and contradictory. We support the decolonization process laid out by international law. Before I finish, I want to point out that disgraced former governor of Puerto Rico, Ricardo Rosselló, is scheduled to speak today. He was ousted from power by the Puerto Rican people on both the island and diaspora. His presence here speaking on behalf of our nation is an insult and contrary to the will of the Puerto Rican people. To quote the masses, pa arriba, pa abajo, Rosselló pa'l carajo. Honorable members, I ask that this committee stand with us as you have before and pass a resolution calling for an end to colonialism in Puerto Rico. We recommend that the case of Puerto Rico be brought to the United Nations General Assembly for review. Free Ana Belén Montes, free Nina Dros Franco. Que viva Puerto Rico libre.